Okay, in my earlier discussion, I had already told you almost everything about risk management, all the various things you have to do, like, you create a risk management plan, you identify the risks, then you do the qualitative risk analysis, then you do the quantitative risk analysis, then you create
Mhm.
the risk response plan, and then you implement those risk responses when you are in execution, and ultimately you monitor the risks. Well, this is going to happen in every scenario, whether it is project management, program management, or portfolio
Mhm.
management, but the perspective is different because the objective of each kinds of management are different. As
Mm.
I told you that if it was a project management, our objectives were to maintain the scope, time, and cost, right? So anything
Yeah, yeah.
which could threaten the these baselines of scope, time, or cost, that would be considered as a risk. But in program, it is different. In program, we are more concerned about the strategy and the benefit realization. So
Mm.
anything which can put our program on risk from the benefits point of view, from the strategic point of view, is considered a risk. And today we are going to talk about portfolio, and portfolio has even different objectives because portfolio is a means to do investment decision making at the strategic level, which project or portfolio is more appropriate to be done first. Although all the projects and programs in the portfolio, they are equal candidates, but portfolio manager decides which project is serving the strategy of the organization in the most befitting manner, right? So that's why
Yeah. Mm.
anything which is kind of creating an imbalance to the portfolio to which could not be optimized could be a risk to the portfolio. So the
Mm.
only difference here in these types of management are the objectives of that management.
Mm.
So here, when we talk about the portfolio, first of all, we will discuss it in three parts. First, risk management in the context of the portfolio management. Then, risk management life cycle from the portfolio point of view. And finally, integration of risk management into the portfolio management performance domain, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we do understand from our previous knowledge that risks are everywhere. And in our life, in our operations, in everything we do. But
Yeah.
why do we acknowledge risk management more in projects, programs, and portfolios is because of the high level of uncertainty in these initiatives.
Mm.
There are risks in operations as well, but those risks are not as those events are not as uncertain as the project programs and portfolios are. Reason being, operations are repetitive in nature, they are recurring, and we have done them so many times that we almost have a standard operating procedure to do them. So, if you keep traveling on the same road on daily basis, you would know each pothole on the road, each hurdle on the road, each bend on the road. You would know those things by heart. Although they are risks, but they are repetitive risks. So every time you pass through that road, you will take precautions accordingly. So there is nothing new expected in normal life, in operations. But when you are doing a project, a program, or a portfolio, you are doing something completely new, which you have not done before. For example, you are traveling on completely a new path, and you don't know where are the bends, where are the turns, where are the problems, where are the hurdles in the path. Therefore, you have to plan for everything. So this is a little bit more risky situation. So that is the reason projects, programs, and portfolios are kind of risky. Now, what is more risky, project, program, or the portfolio? What
Is
do you
that a
think?
question? I mean,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, well, the perspective is different, but project might be very risky where the actual action are taking place. But in terms of significance, it might be the portfolio, yeah.
Right.
If it is a strategic, yeah, yeah,
Right. I agree that there are going to be risks everywhere, even in projects and programs and portfolios. But
yeah,
and naturally, we are going into a lot of detail when we are doing projects. So you see, in projects, yes, there will be risks, but because we would be going deeper into every detail, so we would be able to explore most of them. Because
mm,
in a way, within the project, things are a little more certain than a program or a portfolio because programs are hazy, portfolios are very hazy. But projects,
yeah,
I do have certain objectives clearly defined. So I can easily identify a lot many risks. I understand there will be many risks, but it will be difficult to recognize risks in a program and even more difficult to recognize risks in a portfolio due to
mm,
the ambiguous nature of the higher level. The higher the
mm,
level, more ambiguous it is, right?
mm,
That
mm,
increases the
mm.
uncertainty, and therefore it would be slightly more difficult in a portfolio to identify risks.
Okay, okay.
Then, organizational inertia is inherently risky because products and services become stale over time, and organizations may lose their competitiveness due to societal and technological changes. Now we are talking from the organizational perspective. If we don't change our way of working in the organization according to the changing technology, according to the market demand, according to a lot many moving parts in the environments of the organization, probably we will be left behind if we just keep moving on the organizational inertia. Probably
Mm, mm,
we will have to recognize certain risks because there are risks in the path of an organization. So I would say if portfolio was more riskier than program and program was more riskier than project, then the is organizational strategy is the highest level of risk because there is more ambiguity at the organizational level or the enterprise level. So again, I would say
mm.
if I include the enterprise level is the most riskiest one.
Okay. Mm, mm,
So because we have to change according to the times. We have to change according to the technology. We have to be on the cutting edge. So we don't know what are the challenges tomorrow. Risks can be difficult to manage because a single risk can have a different impact on various components of portfolio, program, and across the various levels of an organization. I do understand that at every level, portfolio, enterprise, portfolio, program, or project, there could be different risks. But there might be some common risks, and the nature of those common risks would be such that they would be impacting the respective objectives of the enterprise or portfolio or program and project in a very different way, right? For
Yeah.
example, you are living in an organization, you are living in a country where suddenly war breaks out. When the war will break out, it will impact the whole organization. It will impact the portfolios within that organization. It will impact the programs within that organization, and it will impact the project. And that impact is not going to be same for all. Projects will be impacted from the perspective of scope, time, and cost. Programs will be impacted from the perspective of benefit realization. And portfolio may be hard hit because many of the projects or programs have to be closed down due to the risk. And therefore, the hardest hit out of the three may be the portfolio. And at the enterprise level, naturally, we are not discussing that, but that risk would be even bigger. So, as the level increases, it becomes difficult to manage risk because, as I said, the impact of the same risk might be different on each level of change management. Okay. So, having understood that, let us look at the purpose of risk management from the perspective of the portfolio only, because this lesson is about the portfolio. The purpose of risk management in portfolio is to secure efficient and effective value delivery. Just imagine you are a portfolio manager and you have been assigned that all the projects and programs in the organization are under your control and you are responsible to only do those projects which are bringing the maximum benefit to the organization. Although all the projects and programs which have been given to you, they all are feasible, but some of them would be more beneficial than the others. The decision to pick which projects and programs would be managed simultaneously within the portfolio, this is your decision. And this decision could be taken based on the financial investment required in each one of those initiatives, based on the efficiency and effectiveness which could be achieved, and also how easily can we deliver the value from a project or a program. All these decisions are to be taken by the portfolio manager. And when I take those decisions as a portfolio manager, ultimately what I'm doing is I am trying to realize the organization's strategic objective, meaning whatever is the big strategic plan of my organization, that I am directly hooked to that. as a portfolio manager, I'm directly hooked to that. Now, if you understand the importance of the role of a portfolio manager, if he selects a wrong project or a program which can make the whole thing less effective or less efficient, which will hit the strategic objectives, which will bring losses to the organization, probably all these things which will cause these are probably the risks in portfolio management. So, as a good portfolio manager, I would like to recognize all such uh, uncertainties, all such risks, and try to eradicate the negative risks. And if there are any opportunities, I will try to uh, escalate them. So far, so good.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, please. Yeah.
So, how do we achieve that? We will try to make a balance, create a balance between the negative and positive risks. You see, we do understand that we can try our level best to deal with threats as well as opportunities, but this is not possible that all the risks can be eliminated. All the negative risks we don't want to, we will try to eliminate, but we cannot completely eradicate them. So ultimately, by reducing the negative risk and by reducing the positive risk, by increasing the positive, opportunities, we probably want to somehow create a balance as if the advantage to the organizational objectives could be maximized, could be optimized, right?
Yeah.
So that is why we are dealing with risk management in portfolio, that we could manage our portfolio in a better manner without losses and bringing more efficient and effective service to the organizational strategic objectives. At the portfolio level, risk management takes into account the entire organizational framework. Naturally, we are dealing with the whole organization. The portfolio is responsible for all the projects and programs happening in the organization. So we are looking at the overall organizational framework. We are directly associated with the top management, with the enterprise, with their strategic objectives. So anything any decision as a portfolio, if you are taking it wrong, that is directly impacting the strategic objectives of the organization. So that is the importance and that is the level of risk we are dealing with. As you understand, the definition of portfolio is a collection of projects, programs, sub-portfolios, and operations. These were the four components of a portfolio which we studied earlier. There are four components of a portfolio. It may have projects, it may have programs, it may have sub-portfolios, and it also may have some operations.
Yeah.
Do you remember the what were the components of a program? Although we'll discuss it in the next chapter, but we have already talked about it.
Yeah.
What were the components of
Yeah.
a program?
Actually, it's also a collection of projects, and we do have sub-programs basically, and we do have also banners. We do have the operations.
No, well, in programs,
But
we don't have
still, we do
operation.
have, yeah.
In program, we talk about the projects. You are right. We talk about the
Yeah.
sub-programs, not the sub-portfolio, sub-programs. And the
Sub-programs. Yeah.
third thing, in place of operations, we have program activities.
Okay. Okay.
The three components of a
Uh,
program are projects,
mm,
sub-programs,
yeah.
and program activities. In portfolio, we have
Yeah.
four components.
Mm,
We have
mm-hmm,
projects,
mm-hmm,
we have
mm-hmm.
programs, we have sub-portfolios, and in place of portfolio activities, we call them operations because portfolio doesn't have a lifetime. Portfolio does not end.
Oh, okay.
Program has to
Mm-hmm.
end, so it cannot have operations. We call the working of the program as program activities. The working of the portfolio here is called operations because portfolio does not
Okay.
have a life.
Okay. Uh,
Portfolio goes on and on. It
mm,
doesn't end.
mm-hmm.
Okay, after having understood the definition of portfolio, let us look at the risk management in the portfolio domain. What does it do?
Okay.
As I just explained it to you in the previous example, previous slide, risk management in portfolio ensures that all the components I have just discussed with you, the projects, the programs, and the subsidiary portfolios, and the operations, they implement effective processes to manage the entire risk management life cycle across all these four component domains, right?
Mm.
So overall,
Okay.
portfolio
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
at
Sure.
all the projects and programs and sub-portfolios and operations happening within the portfolio. They are subject
Mm.
to portfolio level risk management, and I have to apply my portfolio risk management knowledge to all of these things at the portfolio level. And
Okay.
purpose I have told you
Okay.
already, as if we can achieve the strategic objectives of the organization in more effective and efficient manner. So what do I call our risk there? Anything which is hindering my effort to achieve these strategic objectives more effectively and efficiently, I would consider that a risk, a threat. Are you with
Okay.
me?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, one of the main goals of portfolio management is to build a risk efficient portfolio. The goods and bads should be balanced out in such a way that they cancel the effect of each other, and ultimately uh, the resultant portfolio is almost risk free. I hope you understand my statement. I have
Yeah. But yeah.
I
Mm.
have the positive and negative risks, threats and
Yeah.
opportunities. I will reduce the negative risk, I will increase the positive risk, and somehow
Positive
by
opportunity.
doing this,
Yeah.
I will balance them out and I will keep decreasing the overall impact of the risk, and it will become more appropriate and balanced for my organization, for my portfolio.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is my purpose. That is what
Sure.
I do. That is my main goal in within the portfolio
Mm.
management. So
Yeah.
organizations chooses to take an appropriate amount of risk. You don't take more than what you can handle. If risk is big enough for you, you should escalate it to the next higher level, to the enterprise level.
Yeah.
Don't try to take on
Mm.
something you can't really fight. Like, you have got a small
Yeah.
army
Mm.
and you try to fight with a superpower. Probably you will never win.
Yeah.
If you think you are
Mm.
fighting with
Mm. Sure.
you have to fight with a superpower, you may have to make your allies, make a big army, as if you somehow can fight with
Yeah.
them. That is my point. You
Yeah.
will take up the fight with the
Yeah.
risk
Mm.
management at portfolio level as per your capacity. If it goes
Yeah.
beyond, the risk is bigger than the capacity of the portfolio, it must be escalated to the next higher level.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
don't take
Mm.
on more than you can really handle.
Mhm. Mhm.
And why are we doing that? Why are we talking about appropriate amount of risk within the portfolio? That is in order to achieve the required value in the overall organizational strategy.
Good.
Meaning,
Yes.
I, as a portfolio manager, I am responsible to satisfy the needs of the organizational strategy, remove the risks
Yeah.
which are,
Mm.
you know, kind of causing the projects and programs to, give a loss to the organization. So I'm trying to deal with them
Mm.
as a portfolio manager. Naturally, I am not responsible for the overall organizational strategy because naturally people are sitting up there dealing with the strategic aspects, but I am concerned
Yeah.
about all the projects and programs within my portfolio that they should not cause any trouble to the strategy of the organization. So I will look
Yeah.
after only that kind of that aspect of risk management in my portfolio.
Okay. Yeah. Mm.
This is achieved by adding or removing portfolio component. Now this is becoming interesting. How can I do that objective? How can I meet that objective to make my portfolio more risk efficient? How can I do that?
Mhm. Mm.
I am actually sitting on top of a lot many projects and programs, and I will evaluate and re-evaluate them in case of any problem. I will
Yeah.
see
Mm. Mm.
which of the projects and programs are becoming more dangerous, more risky. I will evaluate, can we handle them at an appropriate
Mm.
price? If they are costing us
Mm.
too much, we I will declare that project or program as very risky, and I would rather like to go for new projects and programs which could be less
Mm.
risky and more beneficial. So, as a portfolio manager, I have the power to remove such dangerous projects and programs from the portfolio. I could remove them from the portfolio, or I can stop them. I can put them on hold until the situation improves. And
Mm.
in place of those very risky projects and programs, I could have started some new and more promising projects and programs,
Mm.
thus reducing the overall risk to my portfolio. Do you get my point?
Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
So
Well.
I can orchestrate with the portfolio, I can tweak the portfolio, I can add or remove
Mm.
the projects and programs within my portfolio, thus contributing to the health of the organizational strategy, reducing the risk or balancing the risk in that matter.
Mm.
So that will reduce the overall risk exposure and the strategic values can be re-enhanced,
Okay.
right? So you see,
Yeah.
how do I do it? At the portfolio level, my strategies are going to be different. I have different powers. I am not a program manager. I'm a portfolio
Yeah.
manager. I can twist all the projects and programs. I can tweak them. I can put something on hold. I can bring in a new project or a program. I can kill an existing project or a program. So this is how I deal with their balancing of risk management at the
Yeah.
portfolio level.
Mm.
Do you want to discuss anything here?
Yeah, maybe just adding a component of portfolio might be just natural because you'll have new projects and you can initiate those. But
Hmm.
while removing the component, maybe
Hmm.
just a project which is of high risk exposure,
Right.
then there is a contractual issue.
Of course. Of course.
So how do we consider that? Yeah,
Okay.
together.
You see, in the portfolio, we do only those projects and programs which have been, for which we do have a business case, which has
Yeah,
been approved by the strategic management.
yeah,
So all the approved business cases come to the portfolio manager.
yeah.
For example, the business cases which came to you as a portfolio manager were 100 different business cases of projects and programs.
Yeah,
But you have a limited capacity in your portfolio. You have limited budgeting. You
yeah,
think that you only can handle 10 projects or programs at a time
yeah.
according to the availability of the budget, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
which projects and programs will you select out of the 100?
Yeah,
Naturally,
uh,
which are most
yeah.
beneficial, which are less
Benefit, yeah,
riskier. That is
yeah.
exactly what I'm saying. Now,
Okay, okay,
if you find during your portfolio management that a certain project or a program has become inherently risky, it is very
mm-hmm.
risky, no matter whether it
Yeah,
was appropriate, it had an appropriate business case, but now it has become
mm,
risky. So you can
mm,
stop it, you can escalate
mm.
that matter to the strategic management as if they can re-evaluate the business case of this thing because this is not
Okay,
appropriate now anymore,
mm.
right? Similarly,
Okay, yeah,
while I'm handling these projects and programs, there are new business cases which are being sent to me, and some of those might be very good, might be very good for the
mm-hmm.
portfolio. They are less
Yeah,
riskier. So why should I not be
yeah.
doing them? Why should I not invest on them rather than on very bad projects, very risky projects? So
Okay,
maybe if a existing project is very risky and I don't really have a reason to close it, then I can put it on hold for maybe next 6 months. This project will not be done.
okay,
But when
okay, okay,
when we are in a better situation, we may start this project again.
okay, okay, okay,
So I
okay.
hope you understand
Good.
this.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Then we talk about the life cycle. Naturally, the life cycle I have been talking about right from chapter number 4. How does it happen? What all the processes are. What is the life cycle of a risk manager? So right from identification of the risk until we monitor the risk. This is all the complete life cycle.
Yeah.
However, there are a number of additional considerations to the corresponding processes that need to be taken into account in this context. In the what is the context? Now we are talking about
This is
portfolio.
portfolio. Yeah.
So from the perspective of the portfolio, that life cycle will have to be readdressed. Although we are not saying that the life cycle is going to change, but we have to deal with things slightly differently. So let's talk about those that life cycle. First of all, after you have created a risk management plan, you identify all the risks at the portfolio level. What happens when we are identifying the risks?
Mm.
Naturally, I have told you that at every level the risks are risks if they are risks to the objectives of that level. What are the objectives of portfolio? What could be the risks to the objectives of portfolio? Only those items should be identified as portfolio level risks. I hope you understand my point. From the previous
Yeah,
discussion,
sure.
you understand
Yeah,
that. So risk
yeah,
identification at the portfolio level is going to be focused on identifying those risks that have an impact on the delivery of the expected business performance rather than
yeah,
on the scope, on schedule, on cost, or even on
yeah, yeah,
benefits. We are not concerned about
yeah,
that. That is not our
yeah,
subject. Our subject is
mm,
expected business performance
yeah,
and the organizational strategy. So the second
yeah,
part is the ability of the organization to implement its strategy and achieve its strategic objective. If I can enhance that, that is within my target. If
yeah,
anything is causing a risk to achievement of my organizational strategic objectives, then that is a risk to the portfolio.
mm,
So I'm not talking about everything which is happening in the organization. I'm only concerned about projects and programs. If any project or program is challenging the strategic objectives, that is a risk.
yeah,
If any
mm,
project or program is impacting the delivery of the expected business performance, that is a risk for me at the portfolio
yeah,
level. So I will identify all such risks. So here, though the process is the same, we are identifying the risk, but we are identifying the risk at the portfolio level, and we have to focus on the expected business performance and the strategic objectives. These are
mm,
the objectives we have. Okay, now because we are talking about portfolio level risk identification, you may be addressing two types of risks here.
yeah,
Strategic risks, which are linked to the top, to the enterprise, to the organization, and
yeah,
tactical risks, which are linked to my subordinates, to the programs and the projects.
mm,
There will be certain risks which will be escalated from down below. A project may have escalated a risk to the program level, and a program level may have escalated a risk to the portfolio level. These are the tactical risks coming from down below.
yeah,
And then we have got strategic risks, which are coming from above, from the strategy of the organization,
yeah,
which are directly impacting the strategic objectives of the organization.
mm,
So, strategic risks are risks identified directly at the portfolio level and triggered by the portfolio activities.
yes,
While you are doing the portfolio activities, you find something which could harm the strategy of the organization. You will recognize and identify that risk here at the portfolio level.
yeah, mm-hmm,
Strategic risks include activities related to the generation of business performance, anything which could impact the performance of the business
mm,
by the portfolio components, which are the projects and the programs, and those having an impact on the ability of the organization to achieve its strategic objective. Again, just
mm,
remember, these are the two important factors, are two important things you must consider when you are doing portfolio level risk management. Again, business
mm.
performance, and secondly, strategic objectives.
Strategy group, yeah,
So anything coming out of it are my strategic risks.
yeah,
As far as the tactical risks are concerned, they are the risks identified either by the management processes at the portfolio or escalated from the components of the portfolio. And components are projects and programs.
Projects, yeah, programs, yeah.
So if they can't handle something and they are escalating it to the portfolio manager, they are called tactical risks.
Yeah.
Okay, we have already talked about the two levels of risk, strategic and tactical. Now, risks that can impact the portfolio components, that can impact the components of the portfolio, I mean projects and programs. They typically include the following categories. Now, these are four categories here. First, changing business need, environment, or context. Now, this is interesting. When the
Yeah.
business case for a project or a program was created, according to that environment, according to that moment in time, things might look feasible,
Mm.
but now they have no more remained feasible.
Mm.
This is the responsibility of the portfolio manager to recognize that although a business case has come to the portfolio manager for a project or a program that it should be started, but your further evaluation reveals that this thing
Mm.
is no more feasible,
Mm.
right? If I
Yeah.
keep moving on with this component, this might be harmful for the organization, for the organizational strategy, for the
Mm.
performance which is expected out of the portfolio. So
Yeah.
I would recognize that as a risk. I would escalate that matter to my organization. Maybe for the, I'll make a case that this business case should be abandoned. It should be rejected. Or it could be sent back to the business analyst as if that can be reviewed.
Mm.
So that is a
Mhm.
changing
Mm.
business need, environment, and context. Another reason could be availability of resources. When the business case for this project or program was created, we thought that we could afford the required resources to be made available for this initiative. But according to the changing needs of the organization, we now do not have enough resources which can be made available for that project. Isn't
Mm.
it a
Yeah.
sufficient reason to close down that project or program?
Yeah. Yeah.
Another reason could be there will be some interactions amongst the components of the portfolio. A program in the project might be impacting a project, or a project is
Mm.
interacting something
Mm.
with another project, or they are
Mm.
receiving some input from some component, or they are giving some output to some other component. So there are
Mm.
a lot many interactions. Each component might remain
Mm.
feasible in its own right, but when we look at their interactivity within the portfolio, sometimes that becomes too risky.
Mm.
That could also be one of the reasons for the identification of risk at the portfolio level. They are not
Mm.
the project risks or the component risks. These are the risks of interaction amongst those
Interrupt.
components.
Mm. Okay.
Lastly, we have got a big reason, that is conflicting component objectives. Now, this is very dicey because we have understanding that whatever business case are we creating
Yeah.
for any component, for any project or a program, that has to be aligned with the organizational strategy.
Yeah.
But when I find these various components in the portfolio, I find that the objectives of various components are diversified. Rather, some of them are even conflicting. What could be the reason of that? That means they are not all aligned with the same strategy. Maybe initially, when they were conceived, they were aligned, but over time, they have certain abrasive edges around those objectives, and there are conflicting component objectives, and they can be risky. They can cause degradation of service to the organization, right? So this
Yeah.
could be another reason to identify the risks. So now you clearly understand the situations in which a portfolio manager finds himself when he has to identify the risks. You
Yeah.
see, it is a completely different perspective. I am discussing things from the portfolio risk identification perspective, and you see
Yeah.
the things are completely different. When we will be talking about the program, we will have a different view. When we will be talking
Yeah.
about a project, we will have a different view how to identify risk at that level. But right now, we are talking about identifying the risk at the portfolio level. If you are satisfied with the identification process, I can move on with qualitative and quantitative analysis.
Yeah.
Or
Let's move on. I think. Yeah. Yeah.
the nature of qualitative and quantitative analysis does not change, whether it is portfolio, program, or project.
Yeah.
But because the risks are different at every level, so at the
Yeah.
portfolio level, whatever the risks I have identified, now I am going to categorize them, qualify them, and then quantify them. Overall procedure is not going to change, but the matter is going to change.
Yeah.
That the risks which are included in the portfolio, which are identified in the portfolio, they will now be qualitatively and quantitatively analyzed by us. That is the only difference.
Yeah.
So the evaluation of risks at the portfolio level is performed by taking into account the impact of risks on the realization of the expected business performance or the execution of the organization strategy. Again, we are repeating the same two
Yeah.
objectives. Number one, does it have an impact on the expected business performance? And does it have an impact on the organizational strategy? These are my two
Yeah.
objectives. As a
Yeah.
portfolio manager, these are my two objectives. So, what I'm going to find out, which are the risks I have identified at the portfolio level, which could have the highest impact on these two objectives. What are these two objectives? Expected business performance
Expect this.
and execution of the organization
Stress.
strategy. So those risks which have highest impact, I will qualify them as the biggest risks. I'll prioritize them in an order in which they will be placed on top. So this is what is qualitative risk analysis happening. Once I have qualified, say there were 100 risks, and I have qualitatively selected around 20 big risks to the portfolio, then I will see the cumulative effect of all of those 20 risks on the portfolio. And for that, we will have to do certain kind of statistical analysis, Monte Carlo analysis, that will tell me how risky my portfolio is. Overall, how risky our portfolio is. That is a result of quantitative risk analysis. When I'm taking into account everything which will happen to the portfolio, I am considering everything, all the risks, and resultantly, I am saying this portfolio is very risky, or this portfolio is not very risky. If the portfolio is very risky, I have to take actions to reduce the level of risk to the portfolio as if it is at a comfortable level, at a balanced level of risk for the organization. Because if my portfolio is too risky and I do not deal with it, my organization may decide to pack up the whole portfolio. They would say you are causing damage to the whole organization, so you are no more. All the projects and programs within that portfolio can be killed along with the portfolio itself. So first, portfolio have to assess what is the overall level of riskiness this portfolio may be handling. And then we will talk about the further steps, how we deal with that riskiness. But as far as we are concerned at this level, we have done the qualitative and the quantitative risk analysis at portfolio level. Right? Now,
Sure.
when we talk about the actions to be taken, that would come in the next step. That would be risk response planning. Right? But right now, what we have done is we have prioritized the risk and we have selected the biggest of them all. That is called qualitative risk analysis. And then we have taken a view of the overall impact of all the risks on my portfolio, thus ascertaining the riskiness of my portfolio. Now I have to take decision how to reduce this riskiness. That would be coming in the next step. And as I told you, if I do not take any action now, my portfolio is at risk of extinction. Okay, once we have done that, we can now develop strategies to deal with our risks. Whatever the risks we have identified, naturally they will be positive and the negative. Naturally, you understand already by our previous discussion that the negative risks have to be reduced. And the positive risks, which are the opportunities, we will have to increase them. So our effort in decreasing the negative risks and increasing the positive risks will cost money. But naturally, this will save us from the big disaster, from the loss of money we are going to have if we don't take any action. So the risk response strategies are devised for various scenarios of positive and negative risks. And ultimately, whatever the strategies you have developed, they are put to use. So in portfolio risk management, the focus of risk responses is oriented toward exploiting the business opportunity and maximizing value creation for the organization. Again, same two objectives. Same two objectives of the portfolio. So why are we taking action on the risk responses? Is just to exploit business opportunity and maximizing value as if the organization can be benefited. Organization objectives can be met. Stakeholders could be satisfied. It goes beyond treating threat, which in the portfolio domain are merely limitations to actions. So it is just not only dealing with the threats, We are dealing with
Yeah.
opportunities as well.
Yeah.
So this is how the risk response strategies are created.
Mm.
Portfolio management also includes responding to risks escalated by its components. Now, this is
Yeah.
another aspect. Some of the risks we have identified ourselves at the portfolio level, and we have created the responses for them. But there are
Yeah.
some tactical risks which have been escalated from the projects and programs working under the portfolio, and I
Mm.
also have to deal with them. So I also have to evaluate them and create risk responses for them as well.
Mm.
So I'll do that as if I can effectively and efficiently address that appropriate level. In principle, all the potential responses can be used when responding to risks at the portfolio level. And what are those responses? We had already talked about the
Yeah.
responses to the positive risk and responses to the negative risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were 5 responses on this side and 5
Five. Yeah.
responses.
5 for both. Yeah.
Exactly. The same
Yeah.
strategies can be used here.
Yeah.
The risk response strategies developed at the portfolio level consist of the activities documented in the portfolio risk management plan.
Yeah.
In addition, some responses are developed as a result of the escalation from the component level. So you have to
Mhm.
build both of these things into your
Okay.
overall risk management plan. The
Okay.
things which have been
Mm.
escalated to you, plus the things you have
Yeah.
identified yourself.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you have to create strategies for all of them. You are overall
Mm.
responsible for all the portfolio level risks. These activities are budgeted accordingly and funded from the relevant sources. Naturally, whatever action you take on each one of those responses will cost money.
Yeah.
Although this money is much lesser than what the loss could be, therefore, there must be some budgeting arrangement for that, some funding
Yeah.
arrangement for that. So
Mm.
relevant funding sources are the portfolios or components budget. So they might be coming from the reserves kept for the components or the portfolio itself.
Mm.
That is from where we are feeding the budget for
Mm.
preventing these responses or applying the relevant contingency reserves for handling occurrences of known risks. I can
Mm. Mm.
reduce the chances of a negative risk happening, or I can
Mm.
reduce the uh, losses caused by any of those risks.
Mm. Mm.
So we have got contingency reserves. We have got uh, management reserves also. If you remember,
Yeah.
I mentioned that management reserves are on top of the whole budget. There is
Yeah.
when management approves the budget for this project, they keep some amount at their own disposal in addition
Mm.
to that budget. That is called management
Yeah.
reserve.
Mm.
So this money is actually meant for unforeseen risk-related issues, which could not have been resolved by the contingency reserve kept within the budget. If all the risk cannot be eradicated by using all the contingency reserves, then we may give them some money from the management reserves.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Risk responses can be planned as additional portfolio components, such as project programs and subsidiary portfolios, are elements of portfolio governance framework. Now, this is interesting because portfolio keeps changing its shape over time. New projects are always added to the portfolio. New programs are added. Old projects and programs may be finished, or killed, or maybe put on hold, or something like that. So the whole, you know, uh, view of the project, of the portfolio, keeps changing over time. So the risk management at the portfolio level is not a static activity. It is a highly interactive activity. It is highly, a functional activity, and it has to keep an eye on what is entering into the portfolio, what is leaving the portfolio, what is being done in the portfolio. And this is going to be the risk identification, the risk analysis is going to be a continuous process throughout the life of the portfolio. And portfolio doesn't end. Portfolio is not like a program or a project. So portfolio is a continuous activity.
Okay.
Therefore, the risk management or risk response strategies application in a portfolio could be continuous in nature. These components are aimed at maximizing business performance or enhancing the execution of organizational strategy. That is for the, these are the two objectives of the portfolio, and it is doing that, achieving that by accomplishing its risk response strategies. In some cases, risk response can be led to the removal of components from the portfolio. This I explained to you earlier. Okay, how do we implement portfolio level risk responses? Whatever we have planned, now is the time to implement it. The implementation of risk responses within the portfolio includes when it is time to take action on a strategy, when a certain trigger condition has occurred. We would have said that, okay, if the losses to this component exceed this amount, we will immediately take action on that. Right? So the losses have reached that level and the risk response has been triggered. So that is when that specific risk response will be implemented as defined in the portfolio risk management plan. And that is a point when we will make the money and the budget available that is transferred from the contingency reserve into the budget at completion, meaning whatever we are doing, we will provide money for them from the contingency into their running budget, as if they can really implement that specific risk response. And ultimately, we will be updating the portfolio baselines accordingly. And what are the baselines? You remember those two values, those two objectives, portfolio is very concerned about. So they are the baselines for that. So we will update those baselines after we have taken action on a risk response. We will sit down with the top level management and try to review our objectives if they are being fulfilled all right, or we have to kind of change something in that. The risk response is planned as new components become part of the portfolios. That is, because of the dynamic nature of the portfolio, there are always new projects and programs coming into the portfolio. And naturally, we are always going through developing more risk responses. So as new components become part of the portfolio, there will be further risk responses planned. And then they are subjected to the application of the standard portfolio delivery and deployment process. So they will become the natural part of the portfolio, and when the things are being implemented, the appropriate actions will be taken on these new risk responses as well. Any formally approved risk response becomes an integral part of the portfolio management plan. As soon as any risk response has been agreed, then we start looking for it. We start looking for its trigger conditions and when to take action. So we are actually, our implementation is activated. The implementation of such a response is not a change to the portfolio that is initiated through a formal portfolio change management procedure. Now, I think this point you must understand, because this is not only valid for the portfolio, it is valid for the program and the project as well. When a risk response has been created, that means you don't have to go through the change request procedure any further. When that event will occur, we will simply take actions as per plan. I mean, although this plan is conditional, the risk response is conditional. If these trigger conditions exist, only then will we take those actions. But they are already planned. So we don't need to move our change request to the board of directors as if this change can be approved, because these risk responses are pre-approved. They have already been approved. Conditionally, they have been approved. That if these conditions occur, you can take these actions and you can spend this money. So it does not need to go through any kind of change management or change control process. That is true for the portfolio, that is true for the program, and that is also true for the project management. Once a response has been approved, that is considered approved, and you don't need to, when on the occurrence of that event, you don't have to seek any more permission or move any change request at all. But any new responses planned to address emergent risks become part of the portfolio change management procedure. You see, there is a risk which has suddenly surfaced as an emergent risk, giving you a very limited time to act on it. So naturally, that was not included in the pre-approved risk response plan. So to include that into your risk responses, you have to move a change request. Again, this situation is true not only for portfolio, but also for program and also for project management. Emergent risks have to be entertained through a change request or change control procedure. Then we come to the monitoring of the portfolio risk. This is the last process of the risk management for portfolio. And again, we will look at things from the perspective we used when we were identifying the risk. We identified the risk in two categories. There were tactical risks and there were strategic risks. Tactical risks were those which were being escalated from the lower components, and strategic risks are those which could directly impact the organization. So we will be monitoring both kinds of risks. How do we monitor the tactical risk? By overseeing the aspects related to the execution of the anticipative and responsive actions undertaken to respond to identified risks. We have already created a response plan. We have already applied that. So we will watch it, we'll observe it, and see how well our response was implemented and what were the flaws, what went well, what went wrong. We will monitor it. Also ensures that operational risks or systemic risks that could impact the portfolio are properly handled. The risk coming from outside, from the
Okay.
organizational side, system side. So they can be warded off. So this is as far as the tactical activity was concerned. And as far as strategic is concerned, it addresses the evolution of the risk characteristics of each portfolio component, the overall portfolio risk profile, and the impact of that evolution on the business performance. You see, each one of the components does carry a specific amount of risk, and the collective risk of the portfolio would be the collective risk of all the components of the portfolio. That makes the whole portfolio risky. And if the portfolio is risky, your organizational strategy is at stake. So first, we create that overall portfolio risk profile, and then we observe the impact of that evolution in business performance. How does it impact our business performance? How does it impact our organizational strategy? The next sentence says it. The focus is on development and implementation of the organizational strategy and the achievement of strategic objective. That is our second objective. First was the performance, second was the strategic objective. These risk profiles are regularly analyzed in order to identify any potential trends that might indicate new risk or the inefficiency or ineffectiveness of the response strategies. You see, monitoring will tell us which of the responses were inefficient and ineffective, as if we can ward off against them in future. So this is how the monitoring is done. Monitoring of risk responses is conducted according to the quantitative parameter and the use of the qualitative assessment. So in a way, I would say that the qualitative analysis and the quantitative analysis we have already done, that is contributing to us for the purposes of monitoring portfolio risk. The risk responses are intended to be effective at treating the specific risk they are addressing in order to enhance or maintain the realization of the expected business performance and execution of organizational strategy. You see, these two objectives are repeated time and again, as if it can be etched on your mind that for portfolio, these are the two objectives. Realization of expected business performance, execution of the organizational strategy. These are the two objectives. But when we talk about program management, the things will be different. That is the procedure remains the same. The cycle, the life cycle remains the same, but our focus is moved on to a different objective. The qualitative assessment is performed by revising the risk analysis to ensure these plans are efficient and effective. So whatever the qualitative analysis you have done earlier, you will redo it to reassess the situation, whether your earlier analysis is still valid or the things have changed. Monitoring risks at the portfolio level includes ensuring that the risk-related elements of the governance framework are properly implemented by the portfolio components and are effective. Now, you remember I talked about the governance. The risk governance framework, which was provided to the portfolio manager, naturally, it would be part of the portfolio governance plan provided by the strategic board or someone who is assigning responsibilities to the portfolio, and a part of that portfolio governance plan must have been instructions how to deal with the portfolio risk management. Those are important instructions to chalk out your portfolio level risk management plan. Right? There is a governance plan and there is a management plan. So the risk governance plan will guide the risk management plan at the portfolio level. Now, you can keep changing the levels. You can say, okay, the same will apply to the program level. Yes, at program level, there will be a program governance plan, which includes the program risk governance instructions. And in light of that, you will create the program level risk management plan. Here, we created a portfolio risk management plan in light of the risk governance instructions. So once that is there, it is easier for us to monitor according to that framework, because that is a standard framework given to you by the organization. Okay. Then at the end, we come to the integration of risk management in portfolio management, how the risk management is integrated into the portfolio. In order to achieve the portfolio objectives, there are a number of risk management practices that can be applied across the portfolio life cycle within all of the performance domains, which we already have talked about. So you see, in the portfolio life cycle, which goes like initiation, planning, execution, and optimization, because portfolio never ends. Portfolio never ends, so it keeps optimizing and keeps moving on and on. Now, this will give you a fair picture. Let us start from initiation, start of the initiation. There must have been a governance provided to the portfolio from higher ups, based on which the portfolio might have initiated. Portfolio capacity and capability management would have been assessed at the end of initiation. Then portfolio stakeholder engagement must have happened during planning. Portfolio value management and risk management might have been done in execution, and portfolio strategic management will be done in optimization. That is a big picture. You may not need to remember that, but these are the portfolio management performance domains, right? We are not studying portfolio management as such, but if at all ever you are going for a portfolio management certification, these are your main areas to consider. But just from the risk perspective, I am trying to tell you, where does the portfolio risk management exist in the big scenario of the portfolio management? It is so important that out of the 6 key domains of portfolio management, one of the domains is portfolio risk management. Okay. These are the various areas, and let us not look at all of them. Let us just look at the last one, portfolio risk management. Risk management approach, general portfolio risks, and cumulative effect of component risk, and risk escalation policies. These must be provided. Right? So that's how the risk management and portfolio level occurs. As far as the portfolio strategic management is concerned, well, I don't think that we should be concerned about that. But these slides are provided for your, if you're interested, you can go through them. But these are the various domains of the portfolio, just like the portfolio risk management. Just to inform you that beside portfolio risk management, we have got portfolio strategy management, portfolio governance, and portfolio capacity and capability management, portfolio stakeholder engagement, portfolio value management, and then we have the risk management, and we were interested
mm,
more in it. So these are what all is included, which actually we have already studied. But
yeah,
let me
yeah.
read this out to you. What does the portfolio management standard say about portfolio risk management? It says
Mm,
it focuses on ensuring that risks at the portfolio and its component level, they are recognized and managed effectively. We agree to that. We
yeah,
understand that.
yeah.
It is achieved through risk management and risk governance practices.
Governance.
Naturally,
Mm,
out of the risk governance practices, we will achieve our risk management plan. We will be able to create our risk management plan exactly in alignment with the governance instruction given to us.
mm,
Because these practices are essential for dealing with uncertainty at the portfolio level, they are also analyzed from the risk perspective. Because of the high level of ambiguity and uncertainty, there are more risk expected in a portfolio, and we definitely have to analyze them. Adequate measures are then taken to ensure that the application of risk management is robust and effective.
mm.
We are done with it. There are some questions, and then we can move on. What is
Okay,
one of
okay.
the main goals of portfolio management in relation to risk management? There are four options.
Okay, okay. To eliminate all the risk within the portfolio, no. I think to take on as much risk as possible to maximize returns, to build a risk-efficient portfolio to achieve organizational strategic goals. Okay, this seems good. To focus solely on managing trades, no. So the answer is C.
E. Very good.
Yeah.
What are the two levels of risk identified in portfolio risk management?
Portfolio risk management, two levels.
Yes,
Tactical, operational, no. Tactical, strategic, yes. Operational, strategic, no. Primary and secondary, no. S B, tactical and strategic, yeah.
very
That's
nice,
what you
very
say.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Then the third question is in portfolio risk management, what is the primary focus of risk responses?
Okay. Primary focus of risk responses. Mitigating all identified threats,
Mhm.
primary focus of response, okay. Eliminating all strategic risks, no, is that possible? No. Exploiting business opportunity and maximizing value creation, yeah. These are what you said repeatedly, the two objectives,
Yep.
exploiting business opportunities and maximizing value creation, yeah.
Okay.
I
Very
see,
nice.
yeah. Hmm.
What is the purpose of monitoring risk at the portfolio level from a strategic perspective?
From strategic perspective, monitoring, okay, to oversee the execution of risk response actions, oversee, okay,
Mhm.
it's more than that, I think. To ensure all risks are eliminated, that's not possible. To identify potential trends and assess efficiency and of response strategies in achieving strategic objectives, and to focus on tactical risk management. No. So the answer is, I think, C, to identify potential trends and assess. Yeah, yeah,
Very nice,
yeah,
very
that's me.
nice.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the primary focus of risk management in the context of portfolio strategic management?
Context of portfolio strategic management. Actually, we didn't go through that one, but let me identify and manage. Well, we have discussed it, by the way.
Mhm.
Identify and manage risk with low impact on organizational strategy, no. Identify and actively manage opportunities and threats that could substantially impact the realization of the organizational objective. I think this is related to the portfolio strategic management, meeting legal and regulatory requirements, focus of risk management, okay, avoiding all potential risk. I think between B and C, meeting legal and regulatory. No, I think it's B.
Very nice.
Yeah,
We are doing very
yeah.
well.
No. Okay, yeah.
Sixth question, in which context does risk management ensure the proper use and development of capital and assets entrusted to the portfolio manager for component programs and projects?
Okay. Capital and asset. I
Hmm.
think that's the key point. And so management and interested. Okay. That is portfolio capacity. Okay.
Yeah.
Capability. I think, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Capital.
that
Yeah.
brings us to the end of portfolio risk management. I don't know if
Okay.
you have really enjoyed it or not, but this is
Yeah,
all
I am
about.
enjoying it, by the way. Yeah.
Okay,
It's a lot to me. Yeah.
right,
I'm enjoying it. And
right.
I'm also, yeah, fascinated with your presentation. I like
Okay,
it. Yeah. Genuinely. Yeah. Yeah.
this is now my prayer time, and I would like to have a break of around 30 minutes because it's a long break. Will it be all
Okay.
right with you?
Yeah, that will be okay. That will be okay.
Okay, just
So
about half an hour, and then
half an hour. Okay.
we'll get
Okay.
back.
Yeah, okay.
So
That will be good.
I'll start the timer for 30 minutes from now onwards. And
Okay.
after the class, we will start the program risk management.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. See you then. Okay.
Thank you.